Hello students, today's topic of discussion is eclectic method of teaching English. Now what is the term eclective? The word eclective has been derived from the word elect, which means to choose. Here choose refers to the choice of the teacher. Now before going into the definition of eclectic method, first we will look into the basic concept behind the eclectic method. The first one is eclectic method can be termed as a tendency rather than a method. Next is no method is absolutely useful or useless. This means all the methods and approaches have some strong points as well as some drawbacks. Next is a teacher should be selective, pragmatic and adaptive while teaching in the class. And the last one is considering situation, the teacher should choose the best possible methods. Now we will look into the definition of eclective method. Eclective approach is a method of language education that combines various approaches and methodologies to teach language depending on the aims of lesson and the abilities of the learners. Here two different aspects has been given importance. The first one is aims of the lesson and the next one is abilities of the learners. On the basis of these two aspects, the teacher will decide which approach or methods he or she will apply in the classroom. In other words, different teaching methods are borrowed and adapted to suit the requirement of the learners. Now we will look into the principles behind eclectic method. The first principle is teacher presents material with sufficient scaffolding. That means as and when required, the teacher will provide assistance to the students. Next, learners are engaged in all forms. The all forms here refers to individual forms, pair and even group forms also. And the third one is there should be spontaneous participation of all learners. Only then the class will be an effective one. And the fourth principle is development of interpersonal relationship. For cognitive competence in the classroom, interpersonal relationship is a vital one. This interpersonal relationship may be between the teacher and students and also among the students. Next is positive dynamic attitude to credit students' performance with due tolerance to errors. This means if a student does a good work, he should be given the credit, but his errors should also not be overlooked. Next comes fostering spirit of cooperation and collaboration. This cooperation and collaboration must be among the students and also among the teachers. And next one is providing need-based, contextualized language learning situation. Language does not exist in vacuum, and for learning a language, the student should be given opportunities to deal with the language in context, and also the needs and necessity of the learners should be given importance. The next point is emphasis should be given on learner-learner interaction. That means in the classroom, there may not be ample situations to provide teacher-learner interaction, and for this learner-learner interaction are to be given due importance. The last one is initially the fluency should be given emphasis, and then both fluency and accuracy should be given due importance. Now we will look into the features of this method. The first feature is that it is need-based. Need-based here refers to both the students and the teachers. And the next one is this method is learner-centric. Learner-centric in the sense that this method is based on the needs, necessity and the demand of the learner. And the next point is it is situation-oriented. As I have discussed earlier also, language cannot be learned in proper way without situation. And for this situation-oriented language learning are to be given emphasis. And the next one is flexible. Flexible here refers to that the teacher has the scope to employ different methods in the classroom. Similar to this, the teacher has the freedom to choose many methods, techniques, strategies in the classroom as per the demand of the situation. And the next one is level specific. Level specific here refers to that as strategy or method may be applicable for the students of class 2, but it may not be applicable for the students of class 8. The teacher should be quite aware about the level of students. Next comes development of all the 4 skills. This approach or method gives importance for development of all 4 skills. Here 4 skills means listening, speaking, reading and writing. This approach has assigned important role to teacher. The teacher has to play a vital role to see that the classwork goes in right track and the desired outcome is achieved. Next, the teacher should have knowledge of other methods and approach. If the teacher does not have the knowledge of other methods and approach, then it will be a difficult one to implement other methods in the classroom. And the last one is use of TLM. You are quite aware about the utility and benefit of using teaching learning materials. Here there is a scope of using also computer assisted language learning. Now we'll look into the merits of this method. The first one is this method is need based. I think there is no need of explanation here. Next is all skills are given importance. Here skills means listening, speaking, reading, writing. That is the linguistic skills. The third point is this method is of dynamic atmosphere. That means the class is a dynamic one. It is not a monotonous one. Next comes scope for teacher. In this approach or method, the teacher is given scope to apply as per his wishes. Next is this approach is psychological. Psychological in the sense that this method is based on the psychological principles of teaching and learning. And the next one is the students are very much active. If the students are not active, then communicative competence will not be developed. And next one is Eclective method is quite flexible. Flexible in the sense that this method gives the teacher scope to use different types of techniques, methods, strategies, approaches. Next one is there are scope of scaffolding. That is the teacher can give assistance to the students. The next one is use of TLM. You are all aware about the utility of using TLM, and this Eclective method gives scope for using TLM in the classroom. And the second last is contextualization. Language learning cannot be fruitful if it is learned without context, and contextualization has been given importance in this method. And the last one is the skill of communication. The communication skills has been given due importance in this method. Now we'll discuss the demerits of this method. The first one is this method needs competent teacher. You are all aware that Indian schools lacks competent language teachers, and for this reason it is very difficult to implement this approach in the Indian classrooms. Moreover, this is not suitable for all learners. You know that Indian classroom is not homogeneous in nature. We can find slow learners in the classrooms, and for slow learners this method is not suitable. This method is also not suitable for all topics. Moreover, this method gives too much freedom to the learners and even the teacher, and for this sometimes it becomes quite difficult to monitor the classroom works, and then it is a time consuming one. And the last one is it is not beneficial in overcrowded classroom. That's all for today.